Hello, true believers. We are doing another video, and I want to give a special, before we do that, I want to give a special shout out for Jim Bob for sponsoring today's video. Thank you, Jim Bob, for your contributions. I am going to apply it to Hero's football shoes. His birthday came up, and he wanted to request some new football boots, but normally we'd get the limited editions, but at this point we're kind of in a our funds are limited, so we have to kind of pick and choose where we spend our money on. So there was some shoes that went on sale that I'm going to be doing that. So as soon as it arrives, I'm going to do a review on it. But in the meantime, thanks again, Jim Bob, for your contribution, and I will be applying it to Hero's football boots. And because why football boots? Because he uses it every day. He likes it. It's like whenever he gets new football boots, it's like Christmas for him. And if it's Christmas for him, it's Christmas for the boss. And then if the boss is happy and Hero's happy, then I'm happy. So thanks again, Jim Bob, for your kindness and generosity. You are a gentleman and a scholar. And I also, well, what we have over here is a judicial affidavit, and I've been meaning to get to this. Remember, I said that because of this medical legal report, we have a 15-year-old who is accusing me of sexual abuse, rape, and child pornography. And that's what it says over here. If you look at here, what I'm charged with, all right? So I'm charged with 9208, which is human trafficking, as you can see in black and white. Also rape, sexual assault, rape, just like in the medical legal report. Okay, here's a medical legal report. 15-year-old says, I am charged with rape. And also RA 9775, which is child pornography. So this one has rape, has no bail. This one has no bail. So in essence, you are already guilty because normally the normal procedure is you're innocent until proven guilty, but when you're charged with human trafficking and rape, these are serious, heinous crimes. They figure that you're going to, I think the reasoning behind it is that you're going to try to escape. So it's safer to assume that you're guilty and you have to prove that you're innocent. So they're going to deny bail for you. So no bail. So you're going to spend not only months, but years in prison clearing your name. And what does that mean, right? So you're going to be in prison anyway, even if you're proved innocent, even the problem is the documentation over here. It's like how everything here is based on intercourse, is based on sex. All these charges, human trafficking requires sex. Okay, you're pimping somebody out. That means you're selling them for sex. Okay, and then over here, rape. That means a sex occurred. And then over here, child pornography, sex occurred. So intercourse has occurred. But your main evidence over here, your star witness over here is a virgin. So what the hell did they say in the judicial affidavit? So first of all, what is a judicial affidavit? And then we'll go back to this document. So what is the judicial affidavit? So I looked it up according to the Manila standard here. So we know what's involved here. The judicial affidavit shall contain a sworn attestation. So it's a testimony or a testimony at the end, executed by the lawyer who supervised the examination of the witness, that says he or she, this is kind of biased, he or she faithfully recorded or caused to be recorded the questions he or she asked and the corresponding answers that the witnesses gave, and neither he or she nor any other persons then presented or assisting him or her coached the witness regarding the latter's answers. A false attestation, a false testimony, if you lie in a judicial affidavit, shall be subject to the lawyer mention the disciplinary action, including disbarment. So as you can see over here, a judicial affidavit is a serious document because the lawyer who is in charge of it, and if their person is lying, of this person has been coached or this person has been coerced, then and this person and this lawyer witnessed it, and this person is is a candidate for disbarment. That's how serious it is, and that's how serious this should be taken. Okay, and so if you're a lawyer and you've got this judicial affidavit, well, then you're gonna take it seriously because this could be a cause for disbarment if you lie on an official affidavit. And also, the people who lie in this are also guilty of perjury. Okay, so you can't lie on a judicial affidavit or you're guilty of perjury. So that's the judicial affidavit right here. And I was going to get to it. So over here, you're the lawyer and you're going, we've got the medical legal report over here. The breast, conical, no injuries. Body, no injuries. So there's no injuries. There's no injuries at all. Hymen, there's a notch position, but no signs of recent injuries. There's no activity in the hymen. The hymen is still there. Conclusion, no genital injuries at the time of examination. Negative. I repeat, negative. Okay? So remarks, victim of sexual abuse and child pornography, consistent with the statement that I was saying to you. Okay? So we got human trafficking, rape, child pornography. Simple, right, everybody? So this is the official. So the lawyer says, okay, we're going to put together an official affidavit and charge him of all these things, even though there's no sex, no genital injuries, no sign, no evidence of rape whatsoever. So what the hell did it say in the judicial affidavit? Okay, and before we get to that, you already know, and everybody, I've beaten this horse to death. Is over here we've got the inventory of the evidence that so there's a separate one in my house where they did the search warrant after I was arrested, and then there was another one, and then here's another one of the inventory of evidence, and here's one and then of course everybody knows the credit card already. So the judicial affidavit. But before we get to that, since we're talking about 15-year-olds over here, I wanted to talk about, I ran into this subject matter where Dave Chapelle was talking about specifically R. Kelly. And he was saying, how old is 15 really? And he made he brought up some interesting points about how old is really 15 really. And over here, I actually have documentation that the age of consent is 12 years old. So if you any sex before 12, whether consensual or not, is considered statutory rape. Above 12, if it's consensual, then there is no legal issues. Period, which is the law. You can talk about other laws. There are other laws that kind of complicate the situation. One, for example, I've been meaning to do this case studies, and I actually had to use it. I actually had to research the subject matter seriously. What is legal and what is legal. But at the end of the day, if it's consensual, it's pretty much no legal issues. So just like in America, they have age of consent depending on what state. It could be 16, it could be 18. I think in Nevada it's 16 years old, and you could have sex with a 16-year-old and they're above age of consent. There's no legal problems whatsoever. But there are technicalities, like let's say that your girlfriend's 16 years old and you live in Arizona or something like that, and the age of consent there is 18. You can't travel to Nevada, which is, even if you're living right a few minutes across the border, and have sex over there, then that would be considered human trafficking. So there's some other, but the basics kind of remain the same. And why? And then Dave Chappelle talks about, how old is 15 really? So I wanted to do a commentary on that, because he said that, like, when I was 15, and everybody can relate to that. It's like when you were 15, when I was 15, when everybody's 15. Let's talk about how old he just kind of talked about the indiscrepancies of how old is really 15. It's like, why are some people held more accountable regardless of their age versus someone who isn't, who is the same age, and why? And he talks about how race is kind of involved. And I wanted to discuss those issues because race culture is different, and race and culture are different. You got American culture, Western culture, you've got Filipino culture. But there are some things that are universal regardless of culture, and he brought that up. So let's talk about it.
R. Kelly pissed on his victim.
So let's talk about R. Kelly. I think R. Kelly got convicted for urinating on one of his fans, which is happened to be a Dave Chappelle over here saying he's a 15-year-old. So same thing in my situation, 15. Now this happened 3 years ago, as she was a virgin, and I can guarantee you, based on her tattoos alone, that she's not a virgin anymore. What am I going to do? I'm only one person. I was in prison. There was nothing I could do to prevent that. But while I knew her for the several years that I knew her, she was a virgin. Now, Brain Dead can't say that. He's pretty much here to milk the cow for free until he got trapped. That was his plan. And he could make the argument, no, they were planning on getting married. Then why wait? Then why didn't they wait, since it's just several months? Okay, so that argument is pretty much doesn't hold any water, that they were planning on getting married anyway. No, they got married because she got knocked up. So that's the picot. That's the trap. So he got trapped. So that's karma for Brain Dead. And the best part about it is the child is a girl. So what's going to be funny is, in one generation, his name, his legacy, his race is going to be wiped out. So his name, which he probably doesn't. If I were him, I probably wouldn't want his legacy to propagate anyway. So that daughter is going to be somebody's somebody's wife, and the husband is pretty much going to be taking over her, and she's going to bear his child and not his name. And the sooner the better. Brain Dead and his legacy will be wiped out from the face of the earth. So that's kind of the good news. And all his assets and money and whatever that he illegally made from his YouTube channels as a visiting tourist will go to this new generation of Filipinos, and no more Brain Dead. So what he is saying over here, so let's go back to the video and continue.
It was rough. I mean, again, can't even judge R. Kelly. First of all, we don't know if these allegations are true, and that they are true. If you want to know how I feel about it, honestly, a man cannot pee on his friends. I don't want to be in show business anymore because, well, that's why I got in the game, baby. I got dreams too.
So let me sum up what he said, how he feels about him peeing on his fans. If he can't pee on his fans, then why bother?
You guys are confusing the issue. While you guys are busy worrying about if R. Kelly even peed on this girl or not, you're not asking yourself the real question that America needs to decide once and for all. And that question is, how old is 15 really?
So just like in his discussion, and like in this discussion, how old is 15 really? So let's continue.
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I'm not saying that a person is as smart as they're going to be at 15. That's not what I'm saying, man. But I am saying 15 to me is old enough to decide whether or not you want to be pissed on. I mean, that's me. If you can't make a decision like that by the time you're 15, then just give up, motherfucker, because life is way harder than that. I make tougher decisions all the time. If you don't want to get pissed on, just get the fuck out of the way. It's not even a decision. If I stop peeing on the front row, they're not going to have to calculate and think, oh, how do I feel about this? Am I okay with it? They just move. You can do that at 15. I could have. I've been 15. When I was 15, I was doing stand-up in nightclubs and smoking reefer from time to time. Friends were selling crack. I was trying to finger fuck people. I knew what was happening around me to some degree.
Now, for most normal people, I would agree with him. Except the reefer part, I didn't have any money to, and I really had no interest, and I wasn't really in that scene or in that atmosphere. But I could relate with all the other things that he's saying. At 15, I would know, I could decide, I was well aware whether I wanted to be urinated in or not. And let's continue. But the point that we're driving over here is, these people, you guys want to say that, oh, okay, these are the victims over here, that they have no control, or they have no power, or they have no way of making decisions. And then Dave Chapelle is making the argument. It's like, at 15, I knew well enough in terms of making decisions whether I want to be raped or not. Okay, so let's continue.
Getting pissed on was the least of my worries at 15. Trust me. But it keeps coming up. There's a lot of confusion around that age. Anytime 15 comes up, people freak out. Like when that girl, Elizabeth Smart, got kidnapped. Right? Remember in Utah, here's a 15-year-old girl, Elizabeth Smart, was kidnapped, and they finally found her, and the whole country was relieved. And I was the only one saying, damn, she wasn't that smart after all. Now, because she got kidnapped, that could happen to anybody. I'm not knocking her for that. I'm just saying, if you kidnapped me when I was 15, you gotta take me further than 8 miles away from my house, man. God damn. Can't hold me prisoner around shit I recognize. I'll break away. I'll break away. Fuck off me, nigga. That's my bus stop. I know where I'm at. I'm going home.
Now, he makes a valid point over here that I think she was uh, kidnapped for like a year, and the story about like why she didn't try to escape. The I I think I watched a documentary on that, but he brings up a point. At 15, if you're 15 and somebody kidnapped you, I'd be getting the hell out, away, be whatever.
She was missing for 6 months, 8 miles away from my house. That's 2 exits, man. That's nothing. And while she was missing, during this half a year that this girl is missing, there's a 7-year-old black girl gets kidnapped in Philadelphia. Nobody knows her name. They might have talked about it 2 or 3 times, but she should have been the top story because she chewed through the ropes. Both of these motherfuckers in jail in 45 minutes flat. 7 years old.
So he's making the argument, how come Elizabeth Smart took her 6 months to go free, while this at 15 years old, while a 7-year-old chewed through her ropes when she was kidnapped and escaped, and saw that she was kidnapped in the afternoon or in the morning, and by the afternoon she escaped, and by the evening she was watching herself on the 6 o'clock news. Was the point he was making. Why couldn't Elizabeth Smart have done something like that at 15, while a girl half her age was able to do that? So back to what the point he was making.
I'm not making this up. The 2 crackheads kidnapped her and took her back to the crack house and tied her up. And then they left her. The crackheads, they gotta make moves. Crack, smoke, chocolate to eat. These motherfuckers made moves, it was out. But as soon as they left, this little girl got the nip on her.
Yep. As soon as they left, she started chewing through her ropes, trying to escape.
Kidnapped at 4 o'clock and at home watching herself on the news at 5:30. That shit is crazy. That's a news story. That is a news story. Now, meanwhile, in Utah, 15-year-old Elizabeth Smart's captors left her alone too. And they didn't even tie her up because they're hillbillies. They just bounced. Don't try to escape, bitch, or we'll kill you. Be right back. Leave. She's 15 sitting in the house by herself. How am I going to get out of this? fucking door and go outside. Have you thought about that? Do you have a quarter? Do you know your phone number? You're 15, bitch. Run. Stop thinking and stop making moves. I know I sound mean, and I know what the people are thinking when I'm saying this. Dave, she is only 15. All right, but that's the discrepancy, because when you talk about a little girl like Elizabeth Smart, then the country feels like 15 is so young and so innocent. On the flip side, here comes 15 again. Now we're talking about a 15-year-old black kid in Florida. This black kid accidentally killed his neighbor when he was practicing wrestling moves that he saw on TV. Now, was he a kid? No. They gave him life. They always try our 15-year-olds as adults. This nigger knew what he was doing. It's a goddamn pile driver.
So he's saying, okay, so a 15-year-old doesn't know anything, doesn't know any better, but here we are trying 15-year-olds as adults, that he's fully responsible. He knew what he was doing. He was copying something or some wrestling moves, from what I understand what he's saying, and he knew what he was doing.
Right. This kid gets on the ropes, there's no stopping him. You'd have to send the Rock to arrest him. And they gave a 15-year-old boy life in jail. If you think that it's okay to give him life in jail, then it should be legal to pee on him. That's all I'm saying. You got to make up your mind across the board how old 15 actually is. That's all I'm saying. So I'm going to tell you right now, if somebody comes in here and puts a gun in my head and says, Chapelle, you got a choice to make. You're either going to jail for a month or we'll let you go, but you got to let R. Kelly pee on you. I'm not hesitating. Bring in R. Kelly and tell him to stay away from my ass.
So that's the point he's making over here. And probably the point I'm making over here is everybody wants to talk about, like, oh, okay, I'm the bad guy over here. I'm the villain over here. Because this person, because of their age, the 15-year-old, that they couldn't possibly do anything wrong. When the contrary, they could do something wrong. They absolutely is what they could do is they could lie in an official affidavit, and I'll show you the lies that that they talked about in the official judicial affidavit next. Some people are probably frustrated about ever since I brought this up. And okay, well, what did they say in the judicial affidavit? And here's and I already told you there's a lawyer that is supervising this judicial affidavit. So here you are, you're the lawyer. Just clear your mind for a second. You're a lawyer. You went to law school, you went to undergraduate, got your political science degree or liberal arts degree, whatever it is, the degree you went for like 4 years. Then you went another 3 or 4 years to go to law school. Then you had to study to pass the bar exam. So it's a lot of work, and then you have to apply, you have to go through a lot of requirements to finally become a public prosecutor, official prosecutor. Okay, and then here you are, you're presented with the evidence over here. It's like, yes, okay. And then so after you're presented, okay, there was no injuries, no evidence of any rape, but after that, they were able to draft the judicial affidavit, the prosecution, and said, based on the testimonies of these witnesses, of these girls, one's 15, one's 16, we are going to charge him with human trafficking, and we're going to charge him with rape, and we're going to charge him with child pornography. Never mind what this says, okay? And I am going to stake my attorney's license, my lawyer, my bar license, risk being disbarred for lying or coercing. And why? Why is it? You can make the argument. I could probably make the argument. Of course, it's like a witch hunt now, because I was on the news. We're talking about these girls. They're 15, 16, underage. You got this creepy old man. So there was a lot of pressure. Okay. So even after this, the lawyer says, all right, we'll draft an official affidavit. And based on that, bam, here it is. Rape. human trafficking, child pornography. And a judicial affidavit is a testimony under oath. You can't be coerced, can't be pressured into it, and it was supervised. And whoever signed this can get disbarred if they lied and they supervised it. So they put their, and they said, okay, we're going to continue. Obviously, I'd be nervous if I was them, and if you looked at it. But put yourself in that position. Would you continue and prosecute somebody under these situations when there is no evidence of any sexual, anything sexual at all over here? No injuries. Okay, how are you gonna do that? So you're just gonna base it on their testimony. So you're gonna put somebody in jail without any evidence based on their testimony. And the question is why? You have to ask yourself that question, why? And the answer is very simple over here in the Philippines. Money. It's all about money. These people want to extort money. The police got to get money. They got to get their money. As you can see, they got a lot of money. All right, and then they're gonna put the pressure on these, and then they got the media also involved. So they know what they're doing. So they got the media involved also. So they got public support also. Automatically, once you say rape, accuse somebody of rape, 99 times out of 10, it must be true. Why would people lie? Why would people lie on an official judicial affidavit? That's what you have to know. Here in the Philippines, why would they say that even though there's documentation over here? The lucky thing is, and why would they lie? So over here, at least the 15-year-old is old enough to lie in their official judicial affidavit. So you might think this person is innocent, but they are old enough to lie. Could you make the argument they don't know what they're lying about? You can lie about several things. Did you do your homework? Did you that you're, you can lie about your diet. You can lie about your, like I said, your homework. But rape, lying about rape, that's 40 years. Guaranteed. No probation, no parole. 40 years. From a person my age, I would probably die there. And it's okay if it was in America, where they spend millions and millions and trillions of dollars on the healthcare of their prisoners and their food. I mean, those people are nice and fed. But in a third world prison? And why? I mean, if this person, all because of their age, that they don't know what they're doing. Well, at that age, you're old enough to know whether you're lying or not. Especially if you're going to be lying about rape. This is not lying about whether you cook the rice or not. This is rape. This is serious. Sex. Did it happen? Did it happen or did it not happen? There's no in between. And the fact, Dave Chapelle is saying, okay, how old is really 15? Okay, don't think just because the person is 15 years old that they can't lie. This is what we'll have to get to in the official judicial affidavit. How old is 15? Are they old enough to lie? Yes. Why would they lie about rape? Because you can ruin a man's reputation, a man's life, if he gets convicted. And lo and behold, the only thing that saved me was this girl was a virgin. If she wasn't a virgin, they could easily say, I caused it, or I did it, or I had something to do with it. Okay, but here it is. And I always said that what I do is because how are you involved? Well, but like most Americans or most Westerners or Europeans or other Asians, they come over here for prostitutes, okay? And I'm one of the few over here that there's this There's more to the Philippines. I mean, everybody comes here, all their YouTube channels, it's all bar girls. It's all single moms. Single moms, bar girls, they're all the same thing. How do they get? I got kids to feed. How am I going to feed them? Well, for guys, they sell drugs. For girls, they sell sex, regardless of what their age is. They can get pregnant at 15. But I knew her for 2 years now. And in those 2 years, obviously she's not a prostitute. She's probably a prostitute now. Well, based on what statement? Well, based on the tattoo. The first thing girls do when they have sex for money is get a tattoo. Okay? And then, see, this is where we need to clear up. So for everybody who use libel and slander against me, call me a human trafficker, I'm not selling sex. What I want, money can't buy, obviously. Because when it comes to virgins, they're not going to give you sex for money. I repeat. The culture here in the Philippines, they're not going to have, a virgin is not going to have sex with you for money, okay? Over here in the Philippines, they'll have sex with you because number one, they trust you. Okay, if they have sex with you, so are you saying if they have sex with you, then they trust you not because of money? Absolutely. Here in the Philippines, no girl is gonna admit being a whore. No girl is gonna be. I think that's universal. That's not even here in the Philippines, but it makes it more emphasis over here that a Filipina will never, even if she is a whore, even if she is a prostitute, even if you picked her up, she is never going to say that she's having sex with you for money, okay? Even though she'll ask her payment up front. So, and then what is it? What is it that takes, what is it that what takes to have sex with a virgin? Well, you need to have a relationship with her. And that takes time, okay? And that's always been, well, what that I always sell is not only my time, but my experience. Okay, so I do this so to make sure that it doesn't happen to you. So I have a relationship with the girl and my relationship with her is fine, then you can have a relationship with her. But if I have a relationship with her and this is what she does, the ultimate betrayal, because, and why, and I guess the question is, well, why are you doing this in the first place, Bebatoni? Is because if you know anything about this, and this question is, if you've been here to the Philippines, if you know anything about the Philippines, even if you've only been here for a week, you know the reason why. Okay, and I always tell people, stop asking questions to stop asking when you already know the answer. Okay, because I always say this story over and over again because you see all these beautiful young people over here, and what do? They get pregnant, they become prostitutes, and the cycle continues. And I'm not saying I'm trying to change the cycle, and I'm not trying to change the world. But what I am doing is, as human beings, we reach a certain of level where it's like, okay, well, I'd like to make a difference. I'd like to, if I see somebody, if I make a friend over here, I would like to break that cycle of poverty. Now, you're not gonna do it like brain dead with spaghetti dinners. And you're not going to do it by knocking them up and trapping. Obviously, these people are not on the same level with me. Okay. And like I said, these people are just here to exploit, make money, even though they're just visiting tourists, and break the law. So don't think that they're saints, that they're here to benefit people. First and foremost, they're here to benefit themselves. Me, what I'm trying to do is take this girl and give her a chance at life. Okay, and this is kind of like the Green Mile, the Green Mile. You're trying to save them, and then they turn around and they'll do this to you. I mean, I've been pretty good at it, and I got complacent over the years. Okay, and then finally it got me, and through the grace of God, I was the person that was getting me happened to be a virgin. Whether I had my doubts, of course, whether she was or not. She told me she was, but would you believe it? The answer is I didn't at the time because of the circumstances, because of what I know, because of my experience over here. But because of my relationship with her at 15, she was able to keep her virginity. And that's because of me. And when I was out of her life, you can pretty much guarantee that she's no longer a virgin, okay? Her tattoos pretty much says it all. And then what does it say? You have to think about it. Now if your mind is clouded by emotion and judgment and you're still on this witch hunt and you're in a dark place, and I understand the world is a dark place, but it doesn't mean that you should give into it. You know, there is a light. I like to think that that because of that light, there is that light that never goes out. This hold on to humanity, that I can make a difference with this girl, but I can't anymore. She's a prostitute now. I couldn't stop it. Why? Because the police, the lawyer, the judges put me in prison. So I couldn't stop her from being a prostitute now, from being a girl, being a bar girl. Well, there's no bars now, so it's being a cam girl. She's a cam girl now. And what does she do when she's a cam girl? It's the same thing as prostitution. She'll go out, smoke weed. And who is she going to smoke with? Is with her boyfriends. And just like her mom, who doesn't know who her dad is, that's why her birth certificate doesn't have has her mother's maiden name. She's going to end up the same way. And what did you do? What did you do? All you did was stop the person who was the only one. Even Quincy said this. It's like so much future is at stake. You guys, this whole system, this whole institution, the system over here, the culture, the corruption, put the only guy that could save her in prison. Now think about that. What is your argument? There's nobody else that's going to stop it except me. Not Brain Dead, not the Bachelor course, not you, not all these other vloggers, only me. And you put that person in prison? And what do you think is going to happen? Oh, I'm just happy that you're, well, what about this person? Me, I can make up for lost time. All the money that the police stole, well, it's money can be replaced. Time can't be replaced, but I can make up for lost time. There's things you can do. And which I am doing in spades. Now for this girl, in her defense, I give you some background on her. So number one, the mom doesn't even know what the dad is because she was a whore. Because and I told her your daughter doesn't have to end up the same way as you. She has like 7 children from 3 or 4 different fathers. Doesn't have to end up the same way. I can introduce her to success in life. It's not about what you know, it's who you know. I can introduce her, I can give her exposure, and give her opportunities to someone who she's going to get married anyway. We can take care of her school and everything, and I will take care of her. So as you can see, the evidence over here is I kept her a virgin. Am I selling virgins? Absolutely not. I'm not selling virgins. What I am selling is time and experience, because to make relationships with these girls is time. Okay? Eventually I become friends with her. I have this relationship with her. And then if you make a relationship with me, then automatically you're grandfathered in by virtue. You have a relationship with her also. And you can meet. And guess what? She's going to want you. She's going to like you because she's going to want you to be just like me also. Well, what is me? Same reason why you're watching these videos is because I get results. I benefit people. I get things done. I know how to cut through the nonsense. There's a lot of nonsense over here. And what is it? What is it that's really, right? I do things, I do the impossible. Okay? I prevent girls from becoming single moms, bar girls, cam whores, prostitutes. I've done that before, done that in the past. What the future, what the present is, this is what I'm doing. What the future holds, it's too hard to tell at this point, right? Like I said, because I have a lot of unfinished business. But for now, I was going to get to the judicial affidavit. So this girl, she's probably online right now selling herself because of this pandemic. But once this pandemic is going to be over, she's going to be hitting the bar scene if she's not already doing some kind of how else is she going to support herself. So some other background is, so the father that she eventually had was, well, we don't know if he really is the biological father or not, but he was the one that's supposed to be in their lives. He died, and how he died was he was stabbed in the head with a lead pipe, is what I was told. Of course, you're gonna have to. I had to deduce kind of like, well, what do I know about the culture over here? Why would somebody stab another one with a lead pipe? Could be for several reasons: money, drugs, jealousy, losing face, alcohol, any combination of all those things. But I'm just telling you that the kind of violence, the kind of world that this person lives in, and I have firsthand knowledge and firsthand experience of what they go through. That's why it's hard for me, to somebody who has overcome hardships in life, where being poor in America is definitely worse. Being poor in America, being with a single mom, is definitely worse in America, and being a minority than over here. If you could be poor, if you're poor over here, you're still going to be very happy. But if you're a poor minority single mom in America, you're definitely going to be miserable and suffering. But over here, it's just normal. There's no difference. There's a lot of love children over here in the Philippines, a lot of poor people. And if you're with a bunch of poor people, then you're not going to notice the difference. The point I wanted to make is that this person, what I wanted to do with this person is give her an opportunity to escape her poverty, to her escape her cycle. But because of money and their pursuit of money, for their love of money, greed, corruption, the police, the attorneys, and we'll get into why, how far they will go for money, how they're willing to ruin their lives over money. So we'll get, so the next thing we're going to do is we'll get to this official judicial affidavit. But this video has gone long enough. But the point of this is you need to really reflect on how old really is 15 and 15 over here. Is it old enough to know that they're going to lie, and why? Okay, so the police can extort money. So they can extort money. The answer is, let's look at the judicial affidavit and see how far they will go. So you need to ask yourself now is, what does that judicial affidavit say? You're the prosecution, you're the lawyer, and you're looking at this and it's like there's no sign of injuries, but we're still going to charge him with rape, assault, and pornography. And this is the judicial affidavit that will talk about their testimony and how, and it's up to you whether you believe them or not. And based on this, you're gonna think it's comedy. Anyway, let me know what you think. What did they say in the judicial affidavit, and what do you think, and how old is 15 really? And like I said, Tracy Lords made most of her porn videos, and there's documented evidence that these people were having sex with her at 15. And what happened? How come these people weren't charged with? Oh, because are you going to make the argument because they didn't know? Oh, why didn't they do a DNA test, or why didn't they check their dental records or things like that? Well, because she lied. Well, because at 15, pretty much you're old enough to lie and know what you're lying about and what you're getting into. So where is accountability? I mean, so can we hold this person? Is this person accountable enough to be able to lie on a judicial affidavit? Are you going to say just because she's 15, she can't lie on a judicial affidavit? So does that mean, but based on the evidence, she lied. She lied through her teeth in the judicial affidavit. And if you were a normal person, why wouldn't you see that clearly? And if you're a lawyer, you're a licensed lawyer, you're a prosecution, why couldn't you see through her lies? Why? Because of money. People over here are willing to murder, kidnap for money. So they see they're seeing dollar signs all over the place. Hell, the prosecution's thinking, what about us? We're gonna get money also. Everybody's gonna get money. Well, what's the other reason? How can you prosecute somebody that's well, your star witness is a virgin, then okay, here's their judicial affidavit, so we're going to be able to open up all these 3 cases. And this is just one case in one court. I already showed you the other one where I was exonerated. And here it is. Let's go back to that. And then I'll finish this off. Under the proposed rule, if the evidence admits 2 interpretations, one is consistent with guilt and the other with innocence, the accused must be given the benefit of the doubt. Now, people are going to say, you know what? It's like, you're just innocent in court. You're not innocent. Well, then who is innocent? Let he who has, then it's just a matter of opinion now. But when it comes to court, it's black and white. Either you're guilty or innocent. The law is the law. It's black and white. If you don't like it, change it. Change it to what? Guilty until proven innocent? Why? Who are you to make that decision? Like I said, you're entitled to your opinion. What your opinions, these prejudices are. I think in one of Hero's classes, they asked them, what can you do about prejudice? And our answer was nothing, because prejudices are based on your experience, and you can't do anything about your experience. So that's why it's impossible to erase them. So obviously you're entitled to your prejudices. But keep in mind, still, the law is the law. Just like in A Few Good Men, when Tom Cruise says, I know the law. I know what I can prove and what I can't prove. It's black and white. You need evidence, just like this judge says. And if there's no evidence, like this, the girl is a virgin, then the person is innocent. According to the law, according to the judges, according to the courts. And that's not you. Are you a judge? No, you're not. So based on the judges, then what? So your opinion is much heavier than the judge's? The judge says I'm innocent, and his opinion carries a lot of weight because, number one, he's a judge. Number two, he listened to all the testimony and he was presented all the evidence. Well, I didn't present any testimony. I didn't present any evidence. And at the end of the day, he said, this person's innocent. Isn't that enough to prove to you that I'm innocent? And just because a person is 15 and because she's a young, pretty girl and she's not a hooker, isn't that enough to prove to you that I'm innocent? And if it isn't, then why not? What is it about you